All right, maybe I'll have to increase.
Nice. I think I can hear now, Professor.
Hello. So how many of you can hear me? It looks like some people have difficulty hearing me.
Yeah, yeah. Before was like I can hear now. Like I think perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, Professor.
Good.
How are you?
Good. How are you, Anoris? I don't know. Maybe it was I was using I was using a headset, and then so I somehow that was a factor. So
Okay.
and you can see me too, right?
Yep. Yes, Professor.
Okay. Good. And what is wrong? My I cannot type in the chat. This is zero results for hi everyone can hear me. I just dropped something in the chat box. Did you guys see that? Or it didn't go through?
It didn't grow through.
Okay, let me try again. Uh, can you guys read this? Oh yeah, yeah, it's there. It's there. And all right, you guys, and also let me share my screen. All righty, entire screen. So I guess you can see my screen. Is it? Yeah, there you go. All right, hi, Prita. Prita, I remember your name from a couple of last semester. All righty, so let me just get rid of this chat. Oh, okay, it doesn't. Okay, it's better to have the chat box there. All right, um, let me ask. I mean, if you don't have to turn on your camera, that's fine. This is the first day, so I'm not gonna continue to use the camera from tomorrow. But at least I would like you to use your profile picture, right? I'm gonna be using my profile picture from tomorrow. Um, but I want you to also use profile picture at least if you don't want to um, turn on your camera. Okay, I had a class with you in spring. Yeah. Okay. Um, WhatsApp link doesn't. WhatsApp. Okay, Harold. Good. Thank you, Harold, for putting up your profile picture. And if you don't know if you don't know how to put up your profile picture, you can see this gear icon. I think you can do the same thing from your end as well. On your Blackboard, you have the gear icon, and if you click on it there, you will have this profile um, circle area where you can put up your profile picture. You can post your profile picture there, and then um, once it is set up like that, I think you don't need any more. You don't need to do anything anymore. It's gonna. All right. At least I know people are uh, uh, not anonymous. When there is. Oops. I'm sorry. This. Uh, as you can see. Okay. When there is no profile picture, no camera, it looks like people are anonymous. But anyway, good. So today is the first day, and from since last week. Oh, you cannot hear. Eric, I think you need to turn up your microphone volume, speaker volume. You see, there is something, Eric. It's your speaker, I believe. try to okay, or refresh the page. All right. So you've been receiving, okay, Tatiana Pringle, you have a question, Tatiana? Tatiana, go ahead. Someone raised their hand, Tatiana. So, okay, if you, I see 12 people here. Okay, and then there in the chat box, someone is, okay, Eric. So actually there are like 19 people on the roster. Okay, you guys have WhatsApp. Okay, so good. Okay, it's so distracting, you know, every chat, every time. So where was I? Yeah, I've sent out emails, a series of emails since last week, so you know pretty much you know what to do, right? Let me walk you through. Let me walk you through. First, yeah, when you e- every day at 3 p.m., if you go to discussion board, the forum will be active. I mean, I have already pre-built everything there, but these things are not active. It's going to open up tomorrow at 3 p.m. But today's forum, it's there. So yeah, you create your thread. Okay. Just create the thread, and this is going to serve as your physical proof of attendance. Okay. If you're not here, I don't know if you attended or not. Okay, there is no reason for doubling down. There's no reason for doubling down. Just one attendance record per person is enough. And there are, it looks like 8 people here currently. 8 people. You might wonder why isn't it 9? No, one is me, and this one contains uh, today's lessons. Okay, but of course today's lessons were already pre-released on the 18th. I'm always pre-releasing. Today it's topic 1, simple interest videos part 1 through part 4, but that was pre-released on the 18th, right? So I basically, the idea is I want you to study them, right, in advance, so that when we actually on today, on the 20th, we can only have a reflection. We can discuss the problems that you didn't quite grasp, right? The problems that you didn't um, completely understand or comprehend. We can talk about that. We can discuss that, and we can actually, you know, have.
Oops, I think Professor got disconnected.
All right. All right. I'm sure you guys were puzzled for a while. You guys lost me. Um, right? Somehow, I don't know. The browser just shut down. The browser just shut down, and because I'm currently using a Chromebook, and the reason I'm using the Chromebook is some of you must have Chromebook, right? And then if you have a Chromebook, the Chromebook is sort of slow. Chromebook is limited. In many ways, Chromebook is limited. Chromebook has limitations. And because this is an Excel modeling class, right? This class is about Excel modeling. So on Chromebook, you can't use, the original Microsoft Excel, original version of Microsoft Excel. I mean, you can use it through Office 365, but I don't know how many of you have Chromebook, but some people, I'm sure some people have Chromebook. And if you loaned a Chromebook from the college, from BMCC, as I said, Chromebook has many limitations. So if I use my other laptop, I can freely use Excel without any problem. Okay, I can freely use and I can work fast on it. But some students have hard time catching up because on Chromebook, first of all, you have to familiarize with the Chromebook setting and also how to use Excel on Chromebook, because Chromebook basically will go by Google Sheet, and Google Sheet has Google Spreadsheet has a lot of limitations, and really, really slow. So, but for people, at some point, I'm gonna change to my other laptop, maybe tomorrow, but for today, because I want people to, if some people are using Chromebook, I want people to catch up. I'm gonna stay with Chromebook for a while. So as I was saying, these lessons are pre-released 2 days in advance. So on the 18th, simple interest part 1 through part 4 were already released. Okay. Oops. What's going on here? So as I said, everyone needs to sign into. Everyone must sign into today's forum. Otherwise, your attendance won't be recognized. Again, so tomorrow you can't see it yet, but of course, tomorrow this will open up exactly at 3 p.m. You can see it there. And tomorrow you're going to be also doing the same thing. And tomorrow's material is already, am I? Okay. I'm logged in, so it's not a problem. I guess all I need to do is, if you go to course material, right? Today, this one is already compound interest, which is the next topic. It's already there. It's visible. But what we're going to discuss today and tomorrow are simple interest and simple discount, and they already. Why is it opening tomorrow? Oh, because it's all. So you have already, seen these, right? These videos you have already seen, and we have to work based on that principle. We have to work based on the principle that you have already studied these materials, so that throughout the collaborate session, we'll just work on the examples. We'll work on building the models, and then if any questions you have, I will answer those questions, and I will walk you through those models. And this is the PDF file, which is like the reader for this. And then this is the Excel model templates. So you need these two. So without further ado, let me start with. Okay, so another. So this is how you use, Excel on Chromebook. If you have a Chromebook, as I said, it's not going to be easy. You cannot download Excel. You cannot install Excel on Chromebook. All Microsoft Office softwares you cannot install on Chromebook, and that's a pain. But CUNY gave you. I'm sure you can have you access. CUNY gave you access to all these Microsoft Office apps through Office 365. So you need to you can use Excel through Office 365. Again, this is then no, this is not hard copy. I mean, you can download. Eventually, you can download it, but it's going to be stored in your OneDrive. Everything you work on it, it will be stored in your OneDrive, right? Which is your cloud drive. And then if you go to your, Office 365, you can, click on Excel, and you can use Excel just like, you use Excel on your computer. I mean, on your physical, not physical. It's not, Excel is not physical anyway. But what I'm talking about is it's if you use something other than Chromebook, no problem. Of course, you must have also Microsoft Office installed on it. But if you obviously you have to pay for that. But then if you use CUNY has provided free access to Office 365, so through that you can use all Microsoft apps, Office apps. So if you go to like OneDrive, I don't think I need to use OneDrive for this purpose, but so here, but anyway, let me open. Okay, here. So what is, we need to start with the simple interest. So here I have this file is also is already there in our Blackboard. So I've been referring in my videos, I'm referring to this file and referring to these models. So if you have watched the video, you have no problem. But first, let's think about okay, I hope this program won't freeze up, as I don't know, this thing takes up so much, so much of the computer's resource. So I guess I better not use this. It might crash the computer at some point. But this one, I guess this one is okay. This one isn't. This is like, pen color. Let's use, no, that's marker. So yeah, let me use this. Okay, so when we say interest, right? I use I for the symbol for interest. And if you think about it, interest is the basically return on your money. Isn't that right? Interest is the return on your money. For example, if the interest rate is 10%, of course, that 10% means per year. And I've been telling you, the rate, interest rate, or any rate of return, interest rate is a kind of return. Isn't that right? Because it's return on your money. When you lend money, right, it's the return on lending your money. So interest rate is a kind of rate of return. It's just one type of rate of return. And it's the return on lending money. Otherwise, you can invest the money, not just, if you lend money, you are a lender, and as a lender, the loan is established and the borrower has an obligation, legal obligation, to pay you interest and the principal at the end, right? But on the other hand, instead of lending money, but let's say you invest as a shareholder, invest in a business as a shareholder, then it's not lending money. You are not a lender anymore. You are a shareholder. In other words, you are also taking the risk as part owner of that business. And then as the business grows, your share value, your stock price will go up. As the business grows, that means, if the business grows, that means the business will make profit, and the profit will grow as well, right? If the profit grows, it will be reflected in the stock price. So stock price grows. Basically, that growth in the stock price is your return, right? So if you if you invest your money in a business, but not lending money, right? Because if you invest money as a shareholder, then the company doesn't have any obligation to you because the company is not a borrower. You voluntarily decided to take the risk as part owner, right? So the rate of return in that case, it can vary. I mean, when the business is good, the rate of return can be greater, right? But if the business is bad, the rate of return can be even negative, right? So that's what it's meant by taking the risk. But if you lend money, let's say you lend $10,000, and to whom do you lend the money? Well, you don't want to take the risk. I mean, if you lend money to someone or to some business, there's always a good chance that business might fail, or that someone might, just run off, right? Someone defaults and run off. So obviously, you don't lend on personal level, right? I mean, if you lend money on personal level, then it will have to be to someone that you really, really trust. But as an individual, I mean, you lack the resources, such as checking the credit score and things like that. I mean, you don't have that resource, right? So basically, you lend money to the bank, right? Basically, you lend money to the bank. Think about it. When you put your money in the bank, when you save money in the bank, um, that is exactly, if you think about it, that's exactly lending. You're lending money to the bank. You just don't, you never perceived it as lending, but you are passively lending money to the bank, right? Isn't that right? If you lend money to the bank, you're passively lending money to the bank. If you're, saving money, and the bank for so the bank is passively borrowing. They become a borrower. The bank is becoming a borrower passively, and you are passively becoming a lender. And so uh, the bank owes you the interest. They are legally obligated to pay you interest. And of course, the bank interest rate is such such an immaterial level. It's on such an immaterial level these days, right? You don't even get 1%. And although, Federal Reserve, uh, uh, Federal Reserve raised the benchmark rate by 0.75% in the last meeting, FOMC meeting, and uh, on in just about a week, July 26 through 27, that's the next FOMC, Federal Open Market Committee meeting, and they are expected to raise the rate by another 0.75%. But still, the interest rate so far that you can get from the bank is not even 1%. So ignore the reality. Let's forget about the reality. But let's say the interest rate is, if the bank pays you 10% interest rate, that's unthinkable at the current level. One more thing, this I, uppercase I, is the dollar amount of interest. Okay, dollar amount. And then R, lowercase, this is the rate. Okay. Also, sometimes you will see lowercase I, it's the interest rate. But what's the difference? We're not going to make big, distinction in this class. Most of the times I will use this. But the difference is that this is nominal interest rate, and this is the real interest rate. Okay? And if you have taken macroeconomics, you would understand the difference between the nominal and real. In Finance 100, I also talk about nominal rate. And what's happened here? It doesn't matter. nominal interest rate and real interest rate. So basically, oops, what happened? Okay. So the difference between the real interest rate and nominal interest rate is the inflation. Okay. So nominal interest rate is real interest rate plus inflation, right? And real interest rate is nominal interest rate minus inflation. So real interest rate is basically nominal adjusted for inflation. Okay, that's what is meant by a real. So in this class, I'm not going to make that much distinction between so so when we say, as I said, someone had a question.
Yeah, Professor, I'm gonna log off and then log in on my computer because I can't see. I can only see you, and I can't see the screen if you're writing or.
Oh, is that the same thing with everybody? Is that the same thing?
Oh, no, Professor, I can see your screen.
Okay, good. Because, yeah. All righty. Was it Tatiana? Was it Tatiana? Yeah, you can. Yeah, go ahead, and because I'm sharing screen. Yeah, go ahead.
When I log
Okay.
computer, because I'm at work, I'm not able to use the mic or camera. So would that be an issue?
No. That's fine. I mean, as long as you can come back and watch the what's going on, what I'm sharing on the screen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, you need to do that. Whatever. Okay. All right. So where was I? Um, um, oh. Okay. Now let me. The next page. So let's think about it. If we when you put your money in the bank, let's say $10,000, of course that's called principal, right? So we'll use the symbol P for principal, and your principal is 10K. And if interest rate is 10%, and let's say you put it for 1 year, and T stands for time. So let's say you put it there for 1 year. Of course, you can. Anyone can tell 1 year later, what's going to be there 1 year later will be 11K, right? And that 11K is called future value 1. FV stands for future value, of course. At the end of year 1, that 1 is the time subscript. Now, here's the thing. I cannot scroll down any further, so it's not difficult to understand how we got to 11K, because how did we get to 11K? Because this is basically principal plus interest, isn't that right? It's principal plus interest. But principal, which is 10K, but how did you calculate interest? Interest is basically, principal times interest rate times principal times interest rate times time, right? The time is, in our example, 1 year. So think about it. If this is 1, you don't have to write it, right? But if it is 2, 3, I mean, future value, if you keep the money in the bank for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, it will matter. Isn't it right? So here, so next page, right? So now we come to a conclusion. Oh, so future value n. That means, future value in n years later, future value n years later, that's principal plus interest, and the interest is P times R times n. Right? Makes sense? Basically, if n is 1, it will be just P times R. We know this is 10K. Principal is 10K. 10K times, okay, dollar sign, if I want to use.
Professor, your screen is not showing anymore.
What? Let's see.
No, now we were able to see it, I think.
Okay, yeah, it just we back. We live.
Okay, but can you see this chalkboard?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay, sometimes, I think it is connection. Sometimes, as I said, I'm gonna switch to maybe not today, but tomorrow I'm gonna use my other laptop. Today I'm using a Chromebook. As I said, some people are using Chromebooks, so it's the speed that matters. I mean, some people using Chromebook would be, it won't be that swift. Chromebook is very limited, especially if you're using Excel. So obviously, 10K times 10% times 1 year. Can I move this around? I don't know. Right? If 1 doesn't really matter, but what if 1 is n is 5 years? If n is 5 years, right? Yeah, it will be multiplied by 5, right? The whole thing will, and then of course, then this we know it's 10% of 10K is 1K times 5 years. That will be 5K. So future value 5. Then future value 5. 5 years later, we know it's going to be. I'm not going to write this all over again, but anyway, I started. We know it's 10K and 10%. Eventually, you'll come to 15K. You'll come to 15K, right? So what can we observe from here? I mean, let's say let's not, fix it to 5. Just leave it as n years, so that n can be any number. The reason we are using symbols, in other words, algebraic model, the reason we are using algebraic model is that we don't have to leave anything closed. In other words, variables can vary, literally. P can vary, principal can vary. Any number can be principal. Rate, any number can be rate. 10%, 20%, 15%, 5%, right? So algebra is open to any variable. That's the benefit of algebra, right? But from this, what anybody who knows basic algebra, at least in elementary algebra, knows that when there is a common factor, you have to simplify it by factoring out the common factor. And since the common factor is p, we're going to factor out p, and then this is going to be 1 plus r times n, right?
Professor, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to clarify that you're using n instead of t, right?
Right.
Okay.
But you can, yes. In other words, because n can be any number. T is, yeah. Sometimes I use t here, but then I'm giving more freedom to t, so that t can be any number n, right?
Okay.
But also if I use t for the symbol, right? I can just simply rewrite this. If I use t for that, right? All right. So this is basic form. This is the basic formula for future value by using, simple interest rate. Now, then the question is, what is simple interest rate? Simple, simple is the way of describing how the interest rate accumulates, how the interest rate applies. So in reality, if you put your money in the bank, let's suppose the same 10K, and same 10%, future value 1 is the same. It's going to be 11K, right? But from future value 2, in reality, the way it builds, it's not going to be like this. It's not going to be like this in reality. But what's going to happen is, so think about it. At the end of year 1, there's going to be 11K sitting there, right? In your bank account at the end of year 1, there's going to be 11K sitting there. That means at the beginning of year 2, what's sitting there in your bank account is FV1 is sitting there, right? And there's going to be interest for 1 year. Now think about it. What is this? What does this consist of? What does this interest consist of? It consists of, think about it. Interest is basically principal times r times t, right? And what is the principal at the beginning of year 2? At the beginning of year 2, the principal is FV1. 11K is the principal at the beginning of year 2, right? So I'm talking about compounding now, which we will talk more, in depth after the simple interest. But the reality is, if you put your money in the bank for more than 1 year, the way the interest rate applies is through compounding, not through simple interest. Okay? So but we're gonna discuss the simple interest first, and then we're gonna go to compounding. But let me just briefly explain to you how compounding is different. So in other words, if I rewrite interest, it's going to be FV1 times R times T, which is just 1 year. Think about it. For year 2, for the entire year 2, it's going to earn 10% interest again. Right? It's going to earn 10%.
Wait, Professor, you said FV1 plus FV1 times R times 1?
Times T, yeah. And this 1 is because that's for 1 year. Right? Because in the second year, throughout the second year, it will earn 10% interest. So it's 1 year, right? And because at the beginning of year 2, FV1 is already sitting there, isn't it right? And it's not difficult to understand that the end of the year is the same thing as the beginning of the new year, isn't it right? End of 2021 is the same thing as the beginning of 2022. Isn't it right? So at the end of 2021, if there was 11K there in your account, you are beginning the second year with 11K already sitting there. And then 11K will earn 10% in year 2. Right? Isn't that right? So, okay, what can I? So, let me try this. Is it? No. What do I do? So I'm gonna have to flip the page, I think. So that means basically at the end of year 2, what you will have is first there was 11K at the beginning, and then that 11K has earned 10% for 1 year. So you don't have to write that 1, right? Because it's 1, it's not going to change anything, right? 1 isn't going to change anything. In other words, algebraically, by algebra, this is FV1, I'm sorry. Now I can do this, okay. And then this is FV1. This is FV1 times R. Now, factor out the common factor. So FV1 times 1 plus R. Right? But now think about it. What is FV1? Does anyone remember what FV1 is? Does anyone remember?
It's the future value.
Yeah, it's future value.
Yeah, I know. I thought I knew you were gonna say that. Yeah, that's the verbal definition. That's verbal. Yeah, that's the verbal definition or concept. But what is the mathematical concept or mathematical definition of FV1? Don't tell me 11K. 11K is not the mathematical definition. 11K is just simply numerical result, right? What is the mathematical definition of FV1? Anyone?
The future value of money, I think.
Yeah, yes, but that's verbal definition, not mathematical definition.
Oh, okay.
Right?
The future value of the first year.
Yeah, you're right, but I told you that's just the verbal definition, not mathematical definition. What is the mathematical definition of? if you type into the chat box, I cannot see it.
It's principal plus interest. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. You're right.
Oh.
That's the mathematical definition. But principal plus interest is rewritten as what? Principal times 1 plus R. That was the definition of FV1. Isn't it right? Remember? Definition of FV1. Definition of FV1 is principal times 1 plus R. Isn't that right? I guess, can I go back? Go back. Remember? FV1 is P plus interest, principal plus interest, and the interest is basically principal times interest rate times T. Right? Remember that? And then, of course, for 1 year, in the first year, for 1 year, T is 1, so you don't have to write it. If you factor out P, why isn't it? If you factor out P, it becomes P times 1 plus R. Isn't that right? Right? You remember that? So this is the mathematical definition of FV1. Right? This is the mathematical definition of FV1. Right? FV1 is equal to this, which is equal to this, which is then again equal to this, which is again then equal to this. Right? So that's the mathematical definition of FV1. So we simply replaced FV1 by its definition. Okay? But we are talking about what? FV2. Isn't that right? We're talking about FV2. Oh, let me just check. Yeah, this means, okay, good. It's being recorded. Tatiana, you still have a question? I see your hand raised.
No, I don't have a question.
Okay. So I'm gonna close it. So think about it. Now we're talking about FV2, future value in year 2. But you know, this one, P times 1 plus R, is only future value 1, and future value 2 is future value 1 times 1 plus R. So
Professor.
Yeah.
So to find FV1, I just want to make sure it's P times 1 plus R, right?
Right. It's P times 1 plus. It's P times 1 plus R times 1, but you don't have, because it's 1 year, right? Time is 1, so it's P times P times open parenthesis 1 plus R times T, but you know that T is 1. You don't have to write 1, right? Because it doesn't change anything. But we're talking about, as I said, we're talking about FV2, future value at the end of year 2. So future value 2 is basically FV1 times 1 plus R. And FV1, since FV1, future value 1 is P times 1 plus R, simply by replacing FV1 by its own definition, and then times 1 plus R. So this is FV2. And then, so next page. Now I have to write this all over again. So FV2 is then P times 1 plus R, 1 plus R. We know this is FV1, right? But this is not normally in math you don't do the it's not only in math but in everything. We don't want redundancy. I mean, we don't like 1 plus R times 1 plus R. We want to avoid redundancy. So to avoid redundancy, what do you need to do? Oh, we know better. We know better. In a situation like this, we simply write it like this way. We simply write it 1 plus R squared. Isn't that right? Now, what is the difference here? If this is, as I said, this compound. This is compounding. I don't think I can write everything here. This is called compounding, but we are talking about simple interest. If we use simple interest rate, in simple interest rate, future value at the end of year 2 is P times 1 plus R times T. In other words, T is 2 now. So in simple interest rate, now think about it. What's the difference? Difference is obvious. If we use simple interest rate, this is 2 years later. It's 10K times 1 plus 0.2, right? 10% times 2, that's 0.2, right? And then this will be, we all know, is there any way I can? Oh yeah, all this time I didn't know this. Or can I? Oops. Okay, all this time I didn't know this. Because I normally use whiteboard, and this thing is different. We know this is going to be 12K. Right? Because it's 1.2, this thing is 1.2. 10K times 1.2 is going to be 12K. So if we use simple interest rate, 2 years later, there's going to be 12K in your bank account. But if we use compounding, it's going to be a different story, because think about it. This is 10K times 1.1 squared. Okay? Then it's going to be what? Actually, it's going to be, if you calculate this, it's going to be 12.2K. $12.2K, right? Then which one would you prefer? Would you prefer future value by compounding or future value by simple interest? Would you prefer? Of course, anybody would prefer compound interest rather than simple interest, right? And it makes more sense because your interest is earning, I mean, 1 year later, I mean, future value 1 at that point is the same. There's no difference between simple interest or compound interest because it's going to be both 11K. But if as time goes on, even from year 2, it's going to be different. Because if by compound interest, at the beginning of year 2, you have 11K, so that even that interest of 1K will earn interest. So think about it. At the beginning of year 2, you have 11K, and then that 1K is the 10% interest from the first year. Isn't that right? That 1K is the interest from the first year. Now in year 2, 11K earns 10%. So there's going to be 10% of 11K is 1.1K, right? So it becomes 12.2K. Now, if I expand this, because obviously the conclusion is very clear. I don't even know what time it is, but has it been 1 hour? So I guess we're gonna have to take a break shortly. But let's see. So the point is, compounding is actually future value n by compounding, it's going to be principal times 1 plus r raised to nth power. However, we're going to talk about this later. That's the second topic, because we're on the first topic. If you use simple interest, future value at the end of year n is going to be p times 1 plus r times n. You can consider n as t, right? And of course, this is compound interest will result in a greater future value than simple interest rate. And in reality, this is how your interest will grow. This is how your interest compounding is how your interest rate will grow, right? This is the reality is more like this. But then why are we talking about simple interest rate? Why then? Why simple interest? Because simple interest rate is used for money market, which means short-term financial market. Compounding is used for capital market, K for capital, which is long-term, right? And in finance, the difference between long-term, the line between long-term and short-term is 1 year. So it's really arbitrary. Any maturity longer than 1 year is called long-term. Any maturity less than 1 year is called short-term. And the short-term financial market is called money market. Long-term financial market is called capital market. And the capital market, it's compounding. The way interest accrues is, so if you put your money in the bank for more than a year, of course, interest is compounding. Now, but there is money market or short-term financial market. There is a market for borrowing and lending money for short-term, less than 1 year. And in short-term financial market, the way the interest rate grows is through simple interest rate. So we're gonna this is, and especially you might think how often. Okay, this we will come back with this, after the break. So the time is 4:08. So let's say it's almost 4:10. So we'll take a 10-minute break and come back at 4:20. Okay, we'll come back at 4:20. All right. Well, let's take a 10-minute break. I'm gonna. What do I need to do? I'm gonna stop sharing. Okay. All right. All right, we're back. We're back. So I see how many people? It shows 14 people. And so in our collaborate session, there are 14 people. But when I go to today's forum, I see only 12. It says 13, but one is myself. So except for myself, there are 12. That means there are 12 people. Okay. Now that means, oops, what's access denied? How can it be? Let's see. And I saw a couple of people doubling. I saw a couple of people doubling their attendance, doubling down on their attendance. There's no need for that. Just once. Once is enough, because when I look at, total count, if you did it twice, it's gonna show false number here, right? That's gonna only cause confusion to me. So just one reporting once, that's enough. No more than one attendance reporting.
Professor,
So then,
I have a question. So
yeah,
I don't see my name there. Can you just
I'll-
double check if you wrote my name
yeah.
down, Ross Gonzalez?
What's your name? What's your name?
Ross Gonzalez.
I don't see your name here, right? Can you? So do this again, please. Did you? You didn't.
Yes.
You have to create your thread, right? Create thread, right?
Okay.
And then just put your name there, or say attendance, or that's it. You don't have to put anything here, or just
Okay. So
okay, and then submit. Okay, that instruction was already given last week. So please do that.
is that something we're gonna be doing on a daily, like on our own,
Yeah,
creating the
on daily
thread?
basis. Yeah,
Okay.
on daily basis. This is your sign-in sheet. So
Okay.
if this isn't, if your name is not there, there's no way I can verify, who attended or not. And so this is the physical record of attendance. Of course, there's another way, but after the class is over, then I can go over the login, this collaborate login record. But that's not in alphabetical order. It just gives me a hard time because it's not in alphabetical order. And to mark your attendance on the roster, if it is not in alphabetical order, I'm gonna have a hard time, matching your name, that record with the name on the roster, which is the roster is basically in alphabetical order. So basically, I go by, this is your, remember, this is your sign-in sheet. Okay. Now it says 15. So everyone, yeah, except myself. I mean, except for myself, there are 14, which matches this number here. Now there are 14 people here. Oh, there are, except me, there are 15. So then one more person is still missing from here until this total count is 16. Someone is missing, right? So if you are in the collaborate, but if you haven't signed in to today's forum, please, you must do that. Otherwise, you won't be, you lose your attendance. Another thing is,
Will that be on the discussion board?
it's in the discussion board, right? If you go into the discussion board, you see class July 20th. That's today. You see there are people there. tomorrow, and also tomorrow it's gonna open up. It's not, you don't see that today, but it's gonna open up. And also in the announcement and course information, I explained my attendance policy, right? Attendance is 10% of your grade, but actually it's going to be more than, right? Because your total attendance will add up to 5 points, because every day by, by attending, you earn 2.5 points, 0.25, and we meet 4 days a week, 5 weeks. That's going to be, it's going to be equal to 5 points. And then every once in a while, I'm going to ask you questions. So the other 5 points are coming from those answers. If you give me great answer, you get 2 points. If you give me an average answer, a good answer, 1 point. Average answer, 0.5. Okay. Suppose you gave me suppose you gave me 2 great answers and 1 good answer. That's 5 points already. So your total attendance plus participation points will be 10, right? And the other 90% of your 90 points of your grade comes from your exams and homeworks. 40 points come from your homeworks. 40 points, right? That means, midterm and final are 25% and 25%. Okay, I heard you, but let me just finish. Let me finish first. I'll get to you. I don't know who asked, but I'll get to you. So think about it. Although attendance is 10%, but actually it can be more than 10%, because if you gave me 10 great answers, think about it. If you gave me 10 great answers, that's already 20 points, right? And so if you've done, let's say from exam and homeworks, if you've done perfect exam, if you got perfect points in exams and homeworks, that will be 90. 90 plus 20, that's going to be 110 at the end of the semester, right? At the end of the semester. But if you did poorly, let's say in the exams or in the homework, so they don't add up to 90, right? Let's say they only add up to 70. But then from attendance and participation, if you got 20, the total will come to 90. So you make up for what you lacked by participation points, right? So this is how it's gonna work. Yeah, someone was calling me. Was it Tatiana?
Yeah, I wanted to know when will we know when we have homework? Is there a layout of what days homework is due?
Yeah, of course. It's gonna be all pre-announced, okay? It's gonna be pre-announced. Now, you can see this, let's say, in the announcement. All you can see, you won't be able to see everything. Let me go to a student. All you see is just at this point, all you see is this, but it's all pre-built. It's gonna be released. It's gonna be released accordingly. Homework 1. After the first topic, there will be homework 1. Homework 1, because first topic will be completed this by when? Tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday. There will be homework 1 instruction will go out tomorrow, right? It will go out tomorrow, and it's going to be due Monday. So you just there is no way I can exactly. Listen, I'm hoping, I'm hoping that I can finish discussing the first topic by Thursday, by tomorrow, and then over the weekend, it's very naturally, the weekend will be used for doing the homework. You submit it by Monday. But, I cannot pinpoint the date for the homework 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? You understand? Because I only have a rough idea when second topic will be finished or third topic will be finished. I mean, it will be, if everything goes by schedule, then the homework will be assigned according to the schedule. But there will be some margin of error. I mean, see the target completion, the target date for completion of the second topic will be the 29th. Though I don't know if it may or it may not be. And the target completion date for the third topic will be August 8th, but there will be some, give or take of, like a day or two, right? So it will be released, homework announcements will be released accordingly, okay? Now, still, any other question? I heard someone. Any other questions? If there's no more questions, then okay. So let's go to because we don't have much time. So you must have seen this Excel file, right? First of all, so let's do this. I'll just do it here. And I want you to open this file too, because I want you to do this with me. I want to zoom in a little more. So, okay, 120% is okay, I guess. Okay. Do you have this file open now? Do you have this file? You need to have this file open so we can work on this together. All the highlighted cells, I want you to delete all the highlighted cells. Now, the Chromebook has, this is the, I cannot delete everything all at the same time. Maybe I can, maybe, I don't know. But let's say.
Where is this file? I'm trying to understand.
So you guys have this file now?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Professor, where do I find the file?
Okay, look, I sent, if you read the emails, and it's in the announcement, but course materials, of course you have to go to the course material, right? That was all sent out. You please, catch up with all the postings in the announcement. We are in topic 1, right? And at the beginning of the class, I already told you that this is the PDF file, which is our, reading material, and this is our Excel file. You download this, okay? Do not just open it. I think you can open it. I don't know. Yeah. The Blackboard has improved a lot, so it opens it like this, but This way, it's going to be very difficult to use. You have to download it. You have to download it. But again, if you download it, if it is regular laptop or computer, and if you have Microsoft Office apps on it, there will be no problem. If you're using Chromebook, there's a lot of problem. Okay, since I'm using the Chromebook, I'm trying to match the speed of some people who are working on a Chromebook. So suppose we can change all these numbers, right? Because this is unrealistic. 18%. Let me try with 10%. Let me try 8%. Let's try making. What's that? It didn't change. I don't know. This is the problem with Chromebook. It doesn't. Why isn't it changing the number? Okay, maybe I'll have to enter 8%. Okay, 12%. That's fine. 25 years. Okay, 12 years. All right. So first, let's make it 10% so that we can compare. Oops, why isn't it? Okay. So these first two problems, let's think about it. We can do it in one of the two ways. One, by definition, future value can be expressed as equal to, future value can be, expressed this way. Future value is equal to principal plus interest. So find the interest, and then we can find the, so interest is by definition, what is interest? Principal times, by definition, interest is, here, by definition, I cannot draw on this. Okay, fine, okay. By definition is principal times R times T. So principal times R times principal times R B. Oops. This is the problem of Chromebook. Principal times R times 25 years. Okay. So the interest is 1,500, right? Future value, and by definition, future value is principal plus interest. Now, 10% interest, 10%, principal plus interest, right? Enter. It's going to be 2,100. I'm sorry. Now, another way you can do it, I don't know why. We already know that interest is 1,500. So instead of repeating the same thing, what do I want to do? Oh, we can do it this way. We'll leave it blank, and then also we can express we can find future value this way: P times R times T. Of course, we'll get to the same in conclusion. Equal sign. We'll always, the formula in Excel must start with an equal sign. So principal times, open parenthesis, 1 plus R. Why isn't it going in here? R times T. I think this is the problem of the Chromebook is really okay. So what I did is P times 1 plus R times T, which is the definition of the future value. Something's not right. Oh. So Chromebook is doing this. No, I don't like. Okay, A14, which is the principal, times 1 plus B14, which is R, times C14, which is T, right? And of course, we got to get to the same. We got to get to the same future value. Interest alone. Now then, what is interest? We know it's 1,500 but by definition, if you already know the future value, it's the difference between future value and principal. Isn't that right? It's the difference between future value and principal. So we also arrive at the same conclusion. Okay, now let me do this. I'm gonna use, where's the highlight? Okay. This one, I'm gonna change the highlighting because this is an unspoken rule. It's an unwritten rule, but the final answer is highlighted with yellow because yellow is, there's nothing brighter than yellow. So in row 13, in this example, the ultimate answer, the ultimate question was, what's the future value? We arrived at future value by first finding interest, right? By P times R times T, right? P times R times T, and then added them together, added interest with to the principal, and arrive at the future value, right? In other words, we did this. Okay. All right. So we basically did this. So in other words, can I troll? Yeah, I think I can. We did this for number 1, right? For number 2, for this one, we did this, right? For number 2, we did this, right? And then interest we found the interest by subtracting principal from future value. Now this is a very extreme example. I mean, the scenario. If you think about the scenario, who pays? Okay, what do I do? Don't do. Oh, I missed it. where can you find something like 10% interest? I mean, 10% interest rate is obviously extreme example, right? I just wanted to make the example as simple as possible. And if you are earning 10% interest annually for 25 years, interest will be greater than even principal, right? The next question. Now this is quite obvious. I mean, I don't think we need to do this. This one is already calculated. Interest is already calculated. So all you need to do is simply equal sign principal plus principal plus interest. And then the next problem is the same structure, same pattern. It's the same pattern. So if it has the same pattern, you don't have to, so let me change the highlight because that's the final solution. And usually this one should be something lighter, something like this. That's okay. Because if the color is too bright or too dark, too bright or too thick, then when you print it out, it comes out all dark. So I would like to use lighter color for the secondary calculations. Now, as you can see, row 16, interest is already calculated. So basically, you can find the future value exactly in the same way. And what's the so you don't have to redo that. I mean, it's not a difficult thing to just do P plus I. But because the one above is of the same structure, same pattern, so all you need to do is just copy this and paste it. Okay. And as I pasted it, the other things were also. So what I did was, you can paste it in one of the two ways. What I did, you can paste by dragging down, right? When you select this cell, you see the outside border or the borderline becomes quite obvious. If I select the cell, you see the borderline. If I select the cell, you see the borderline. And always, in the lower right corner, the borderline is broken, or there's a square dot there. That means if you bring your cursor to that square dot, then think about it. What you see is as you hover around the borderline, the cell, usually if you bring it, usually the cursor turns into a, usually the cursor is a fat white cross. On ordinary computers, on Chromebook, it doesn't look like fat white cross, but if you bring it to this corner, it turns into thin black cross. That means you can gently hold down the left mouse button and drag it down. Let's say, so let's say I had nothing there. And if you bring the cursor to this corner and hold down left mouse button and just drag it down, right? Drag it down, then the formula gets copied. Okay, here you see the same formula. But you might wonder, I didn't drag it down to E17 or E18. How come does it have, why was it copied? It wasn't copied. I already built in there. You see, I made it equal to E16. So as soon as E16 is determined, this gets determined too. E17 gets determined too, right? And then E18, 1000 was already put in there. Maybe it was already put in there. So it was already there. So here, that's one way you can copy. Of course, you can select a cell, go there and copy, and bring it here and paste. But you can do it either way. You can just select this cell, bring the cursor to this broken dot, square dot, and then drag it down. And if you have a large number of problems, right? If you have a large number of problems that have the same pattern, problems of the same pattern, let's say something like 15 and 16 are repeating over and over. So many, there are 10 problems like 15, all contiguously below. Then all you need to do is just do 15, and then the rest of them can be just copied and pasted. Okay? So this is this way. Now our next question. Our next question is, how do we find the principal? Now this is this is the same old story. Look, think about it. You put $900 in the bank today. Let me make it let's make it more interesting. 10,000. Let's make it 10,000. And of course, it's going to automatically adjust. Everything will automatically adjust. You put $10,000 in the bank. Interest rate is 9% a year. You keep it there for 20 years. Okay. What's going to be the future value? Of course, this is going to be the future value. And I'm going to also highlight this. Because we found interest first. Okay, let's do it this way. Suppose I deleted everything. So I don't know what's the interest and what's the future value. But 16 is the same thing as 15. So then what can I do? I can copy both cells. I mean, I can select both cells and drag it down all together. Now, what do you get? Yeah, of course. Then the formula in E15, D15 is copied into E16. The formula in E15 is also copied into E16. So it's done simultaneously. Okay. Now, 17, row 17. We already know the answer. I mean, we already know what's going on. What's going on here is basically what's going on here is we know what's the future value to 20 years from now. And the interest rate is currently 9%. So in 20 years, if you want to have $28,000, right? If you want to have $20,000 in 20 years, when the going rate in the market is 9%, what dollar amount do you need to put into the bank today as principal? Now, of course, it's the reverse story, right? It's the reverse story. Simply, in other words, we know if you put $10,000 into the bank today at 9% interest rate for 20 years, then 20 years later, we're going to have $28,000. And the interest in the meantime is $18,000, right? So it's exactly the same story, just, turned around. So we know the answer should be 10,000. I mean, you have to put $10,000 into the bank today to have $28,000 20 years from now. But then, how do we mathematically find it? Well, it's not a difficult thing because it's simply the logic, right? It's simply the logic. You see, guys, you all see this, right? Now it's, where is the, how do I change the color? Okay. So since we know that future value at the end of year n is P times 1 plus R times N, right? Our question is now, how do I change the color? This is known, right? We know, what do I do? How do I turn it back? Yeah. Okay, now the problem is when this is like that. Ugh. This is known, right? Oh. Maybe I'll have to close this and open it again. Okay, let me open.
그때 생긴 마찰열이 유로파 표면의 얼음을 녹이고 지하에 거대한 바다를 만들었다고 여겨집니다.
Okay. I was a some like Nat Geo type of thing. YouTube was open. So where is that? Okay, here it is. All right. So the question was, oh, come Oh, what's going on? Okay, uh-oh, why is it moving? Okay. All right. So our question is, if we already know this, 20 years later, we want like 28K, right? 28K. And currently, interest rate is known, N is known, and is 20 years. Interest rate is 9% or something like that. The only unknown is this. We want to know. So in other words, how much do we have to put into the bank today? As principal, right? As principal. So then think about it. This is relatively a simple structure, right? Because this is one variable, one chunk. This equation consists of three variables, isn't that right? Fn is the variable that's unknown. That was unknown previously. P principal was previously known. This time it is the unknown. And 1 plus r times n, that is one chunk. In other words, structurally, it's like z equals x times y. Isn't that right? You see, P is x, principal is x. This whole thing is like y. And future value n is z. And so think about it. When we have z equals x times y, this equation usually how do I change? Okay. This equation usually assumes that this is the unknown. And these two are known. X and Y are known. Right? But if X is the unknown, suppose that now the table has turned around. If Z is known, it's 28K. Y is also known, right? 1 plus, we know it is 1 plus R times N, right? And R and N are all known. 9%. N was 20 years. The only unknown is X. Now, think about it. If 12 is 4 times 3, now, normally, this is not a difficult thing. You already know, you multiplied 4 by 3 and you arrived at 12. But suppose this is the unknown. If this is the unknown, right? If this is the unknown, how do you find that unknown? We all know it's simple. The unknown is 12 divided by 4. 12 divided by 3, right? So it's the same idea. It's the same thing. When, Z is known, X is the unknown, Y is known. If X is the unknown, how do you find X? Of course, we find Y, and X is Z divided by Y. Okay, and then in this structure where you have FV equals P times 1 plus R times N, right? And when P is the unknown, how do you solve for P? Of course, that goes without saying. Then P will have to be FV divided by 1 plus R times N. So this is basically how you find the principal, right? When the other variables are known, right, everyone? So then we're gonna, it's gonna take a lot of time. So finding then, principal, then equal. Start with the equal sign. Future value divided by or 1 plus, that's weird, it has, go there, R times T. So this is what is wrong with, I'm not going to use Chromebook ever again. This is ridiculous. B17. B17. This is A17. Okay. Close parenthesis. Okay. This way, we can find a principal, and something's not right. Why? A17 divided by B1 plus B17 times C17. Not A17. What did I do? 17. Okay, E17 over future value over 1 times T. Hit enter, and we know it should be exactly 10K. It should be exactly 10K, right? Otherwise, so I'm gonna change this to because that is the ultimate solution. I mean, that's the I'm gonna change it to and this one is, it wasn't filled in before. I don't know if it was filled in, but it is now. Once this is determined, this will be determined, because either interest is principal times interest rate times, right? Interest rate times T, the time. It can be determined this way, or also, it's the difference between future value and the principal, right? And therefore, still gets the same result. Now, next, row 18, right? Row 18. Oh, God. It took too much time. I thought I could do the US rule today, but, we'll have to. If the future value is 1,000, interest rate is 8%, 20 years, what should be the principal? You don't need to do it again. All you need to do is just copy and drag, right? And we find the principal. If you put 384 today at 8% for 20 years, right? You're going to arrive at $1,000 in 20 years. And this one was automatically done, but I want to drag this down. So yeah. So this way, interest is the difference between also future value and principal. Okay. All righty. So next question is, oh, this might take longer than I thought, but now the time isn't always given as years. Time, and as I told you, simple interest rate is used in money market or short-term financial market. So usually short-term lending or borrowing is by days, like 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, So if the time is given as days, right? So this exercise is basically okay. Okay. This exercise is how you find the interest, or okay, let's do this one. It's 5:13. We have the class ends at basically class ends at why? We got a lot of things to do. Then tomorrow. Okay. So I should. Okay, instead of deleting. All right, so we're out of time. So we'll have to pick up some speed. We'll have to pick up speed tomorrow. So all right. But keep watching the pre-assigned videos. Otherwise, there's no way we can do this within 5 weeks. Okay. So any questions so far? I think it is 5:15 already. So officially, class is dismissed. If you have any further questions, I have office hour right after this. Give me a few minutes. The office hour is on Zoom, so I have to activate Zoom. So if you have any questions, I will see you there. Okay? If you have questions, I will see you there.
Just a quick question, Professor. How do we
All right, I can't really hear you well because everybody's all right. I will. Okay, class dismissed. I will see you tomorrow. And if you have any questions, I will see you in the office hour right after this in Zoom. Okay? All righty. Take care, everyone.